afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope that you can see and hear us just fine. We're back. It's Edie and me, Scott, back for Ed Video live web show number
Four.
4. Today's Thursday. We started Monday. And what have you thought about this our new experiment doing a live show so far, Edie?
It's really fun, but it's a bit scary because, like, people are watching you, and if you make a mistake, you can't really undo it. But
Yeah, I was thinking about that idea, like, everything you say can and will be recorded forever.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little nerve-wracking, but it's also kind of fun. If you heard that music at the beginning, that was Edie playing her keyboard. Edie's been taking piano lessons for what?
Since I was 4.
Since you're 4, so that's more than half of your life now. So she's a really great piano player, and so we thought, why not? All the great talk shows have a live musician on the show, so why not? Why wouldn't Edie do that? It's so fun. Um, so how you been doing so far?
I've been doing good. How have you been doing?
Very good, very good. I appreciate your help with this show. Couldn't do it without you, really. Also, couldn't do it without all the technology that we have here.
Yeah.
That's sort of the theme of the day. Um, I'll briefly introduce today's guest, someone that we know quite well. It is Mr. Elia Morrison, who works here at Ed Video, where we're broadcasting from our secret studio at 404 York Road in Guelph, Ontario, Canada. We're safely quarantined in here. There's only one other person in the building, and he's in a different room. That's Evan Gordon working away on his music video. We're going to have him as a guest. If you're just watching for the first time, what do we do each day?
We interview someone, media artists, and we talk a lot.
Hey, we do talk a lot. That's right. So it's kind of like the main thing is we're talking a lot with people, trying to get their ideas, record some ideas, showing their work, right? And the first day we showed some of your work, didn't we?
Yes.
And you know what? I was thinking this morning you should make some more work so we can.
I should.
Yeah, maybe you can work on some After Effects things this
We could have
weekend.
it in the background instead of my drawing.
Well, that's it. Can you explain how this is working with the backdrops?
Well, over there, there's like a camera with a music stand, kind of, and then I draw a picture and put it on there, and then we put a camera, and then it's connected to the projector, and then the projector projects on a blank thing behind us.
It's a great way to do it, you know. I think it's awesome. And later, Edie will change up the background of our guest today, Elia's information on it, so people know who he is and where to find him online. Let's just recap so far. This week is our 4th show, and the first show, Edie was our guest to get things kicked off. And then who was on Tuesday? Do you remember?
It was Nick Denbour.
Nick Dembour was on, and yesterday we had Marty Young, who's on Ed Video's board and a comedy blogger. And then upcoming, let's talk. We have quite a few people confirmed upcoming. Let's just run through them really quickly before we talk to Elia. Remember, if you're joining us online on YouTube, feel free to comment if you have any questions. What we're going to talk about with Elia today is sort of how to do this stuff, how to set up some equipment to do live streaming, whether you've got a lot of equipment kind of like we do, or if you just have a phone. We'll just talk about some tips and tricks if anyone, because a lot of people are starting to do this. We're not the only ones, and it's a great way to stay in touch and try to keep things going and feel like you're still connecting with people today. So tomorrow we have Luis Rodriguez from Mexico talking about some of his curatorial projects, video projects, working with the community, with youth, all sorts of things, and just hearing about that. On Monday, we have Sharmishta Kaur, who's in London, Ontario, doing some live streaming for the London Arts Council, showing some of her techniques for drawing and painting and embroidery, all sorts of things. Really excited to talk to her. We also have a very special show the day after that on Tuesday. What is it?
Is it?
Yes.
It's a pet show and tell.
So what's that all about?
So there's people, mostly artists, but you can be any type of artist or just do art. And if you have a pet, you show them, and then you tell a bit about them, and yeah.
That's going to be fun. So if anybody wants to participate on that show as a guest, we're hoping to have a lot of guests. Tuesday at 2 p.m. or every weekday at 2 p.m. we're on. It's Pet Show and Tell Day. So get in touch with me. It's scott@edvideo.org, and we'll set up like a Zoom or a Skype way to do this. Or we'll just kind of roll with it. We just want to meet your pets and have you tell us about them. Any kind of pets at all. It'd be fun. Then quickly, we're going along next Wednesday. We're going to have a very special birthday party with Edie's mom and my wife, Jenny Norton. She's turning 40, and we were going to do something amazing, so now we're going to do what we can. We're going to have a live stream birthday party with Jen and talk about her work and things that she's been doing. And then Thursday, April 18th, my friend Jose Andres Mora, incredible video installation artist, is going to look at some of his examples. Can almost guarantee it'll blow your mind. This stuff is incredible. I've never really seen anything quite like it. Friday, April 17th, Ivana Dizdar joining us. Ivana was recently living in New York and wisely left a few weeks ago. Has some incredible video works that we'll take a look at. Then Tuesday, April 21st, we have the Great Orbax coming in to talk about, what does he do?
He does science and he does a lot of stuff.
That's right. He does science. He does circus stuff.
Yeah.
Does
he's in the Guinness Book of World Records.
He's got a few dozen Guinness Book of World Records. He's got so many. He's a fascinating person. I'm really excited to talk to him. He's like a hero to children everywhere who want to know about science. Okay, so let's take a look. We're just gonna cut in and take a look at this guy's face. Who's this? Oh my goodness, I think that's Elia. That's Elia, but that's not Elia live.
Hey.
We got Elia live coming in.
Am I live? Am I here?
We can hear you, and we can see something of you.
Amazing. What are you seeing of me?
Well, I just ripped a little video from your Instagram of your pixelated face. But I'm going to switch the signal back. Oh, there he is. And let's go full screen on this. And let's cut. Oh, there he is, Elia live, just from not just a few blocks away in the ward. And where are you, Elia?
Scott, well, first, hi, Scott. Hi, Edie. I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm talking to you from my basement, from my little video experimentation desk. It's where I mess around. I'm trying to figure out live streaming, trying to figure out a bunch of analog video stuff, lots of weird and wacky and kind of goofy things that I'm just kind of teaching myself, learning, experimenting. And today, it all went wrong.
What happened?
So as you were just discussing, live streaming is kind of can be complicated, can be a little technically challenging sometimes. And, I've got this whole setup around me that I thought was working perfectly. I've got a camera right there. I've got audio inputs, mics, video mixer, everything similar to what you've got there. And then it all just doesn't work. And for some reason, you weren't getting my audio. So I'm talking to you through my phone right now on Facebook chat.
Well, I'd say whatever works. It's all just tools. And, I think one thing that we both know about is that when you're doing video, if you keep it simple, that's a great approach, but it's very tempting to start making it complex. But when you do, it amplifies the potential for problems quite a lot. So, how is your setup kind of complex and hard to trace?
Yeah, I think I've got it fairly simple at this point. It's a lot of workarounds. Maybe I'll grab my phone and do a little tour of what I've got going on. Hold on, I'm gonna swap around so you don't have to look right up my nose. So laptop, obviously running the whole thing. I'll work backwards. So laptop would have been sending out my live stream signal. Connected to that is this mini DV deck. It's an old, digital tape format that is taking in a signal and sending it out to my laptop. And then into the mini DV deck, I've got this old analog or early digital video mixer. It's a Panasonic AVE5, and it's a really nice, great little video mixer that is a lot of fun. And running into that, I've got this camera. So that's my personal camera. It's got an analog video out, composite video. And so that would have been sending this whole setup. There you guys are. So that kind of thing would have been sending all of this, video sources into Zoom, the Zoom meeting, but for whatever reason, the audio wasn't coming in on your end. And so instead, we've got my cell phone and Facebook chat.
Well, I'm really curious if any of our viewers have any tips about Zoom audio. I'd love to hear them because every time it's hard to receive.
It's the first time we connect, there's like no audio.
Yeah, I know.
Weird.
It's weird, but I mean, then we have Skype as our backup plan and FaceTime, so at least we have some layers of contingency. But it's always a little nerve-wracking to commit to having live guests, and just trusting the technology that it's going to work. That's why this week it's just been sort of a soft launch of this show without a lot of advance promo until we're confident, because we're just figuring it out as we go along. But we're getting more confident that it's going to work, and then next week we'll start really announcing things in advance. But Elia, what are you hoping to do with your setup there?
Basically, I just want to start putting weird video on the internet. You can see behind me here, maybe if I adjust some of what's going on. I've got this, the video mixer doing some stuff. It looks like it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but just kind of generating video, and I want to experiment with putting analog experimental video into a digital format and doing it live. I've got lots of fun analog toys and tools, and I just really love the aesthetic that comes from this old technology. So I want to just put it online because, everyone right now is looking for more stuff to watch on the internet, and, I may as well just be another voice in the masses.
Well, how are you thinking about getting that out on the internet? What is your tool of choice to send it out live? What are you thinking about?
So right now, as I showed you, I've got this mini DV deck workaround that it seems to be working okay, but it is only giving you standard definition video. So it's, not the greatest quality, not the ideal format to be working. Mini DV is kind of horrible, I think. Lots of people like it, but I don't. So I've got, this little HDMI, or no, this is the backwards one, HDMI to AV converter, or I've got one that's the other way as well. So composite video in, HDMI out, and I've got on order this device called the Elgato HD60S. It's made for people live streaming video games. but it seems to be a really great option for taking an HDMI input and spitting out a USB signal that will go into your computer, and then it just acts as a webcam. So that should be coming hopefully soon, and I'm interested to start experimenting with that. I'm hoping it will work and do what I want it to do. Um, what I The reason I chose this one is that it does just show up as a webcam, so it can run into any software that can take a camera, a USB web camera input. So I've got Resolume Arena using that should be able to use that. What else is there? OBS, the Open Broadcasting System, which is what you're using there, I believe.
Yes.
And then any other number of pieces of software. So basically just spitting out a signal to the computer. And what's also interesting about this, because it's made for video games, it's got supposedly a zero lag HDMI pass through. So I can put the signal into it and then spit it out to a separate monitor or TV or whatever, and it should be working in real time, which is kind of something that I've always wondered about, because with the video stuff that I'm doing, I like it to be real time. I don't want to be always a few frames behind, reacting to what I'm seeing and what I'm generating.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, we've been learning a lot here, trying to think about issues like that, about latency, about signal conversions. It's been a big. Last week we were in here a few days, just trying to. You roughed this in for us, and then as we tried to complete it, there was quite a few things to figure out. One thing I didn't really realize is that this. In a little bit, I'll take this camera off and we'll go handheld, so viewers can actually see what we've got set up here, because they've never seen it yet. But one thing I didn't realize is how difficult it is to get that mixed signal, even though it's HDMI, into to stream. And luckily, here at a video, we've got this little Blackmagic mini recorder which does it. But I was foolish thinking I could just sort of plug that into a Mac Mini and think, that's all you have to do. It was a big step of trying to figure out how to make that work. And then with the OBS software too, just trying to figure that out as well. I've never used that before. We're just using it in a super minimal way, just to basically receive the signal and then send. And then the other part is to send that to YouTube. I mean, ideally, I wish we could also do this on Instagram Live. Would be really great, but there's not really an easy way to port it out that I can figure out. And then we're also trying to figure out maybe if we should use this Restream software for whatever it's worth, to put it out to Facebook Live, to Vimeo Live, or Twitch, or whatever. But for now, we're just trying to figure it out with YouTube and embed it. And when we're not flagged for copyright infringements, it seems to be working pretty good so far. It's pretty hilarious that basically the largest copyright breaker in the entire history of the world now flags us for that. But that's okay. We're it's kind of fun and exciting to learn a little bit each day. So. What kind of things have you learned that maybe you're kind of assuming before, or once you really start trying to put together your schematic, what kind of things have you been figuring out putting this together?
I think the biggest thing for me has been the idea of having that solid schematic. I really do everything just kind of, what is it, flying by the seat of my pants. I just plug in everything and hope for the best. But trying to get a solid signal chain working and knowing really what is what, what is on what input, what is going where, and then following that through all the way from camera to mixer, or into the computer, where that's going into OBS or whatever other software. Just kind of having that plan, I think, is really important, so that, yeah, you're not, like we were today, surprised by a weird technical glitch, or not surprised by, not knowing, oh, I'm trying to cue this video, but instead I'm switching to a camera or something like that. I really believe that that's the biggest thing I've learned is, know what's going on. Don't, don't think you're smarter, because you're not, or at least I'm not.
Me neither. I mean, it's a challenge, I think, for video is to kind of understand the whole schematic in your mind. And as it gets complex, um, trying to make your own like mental metaphors of how that signal's moving, and then when something goes wrong, to like figure out how to start, I guess, at the very beginning of it and work it through to the last cable. Um, like to figure out where that problem could be. I mean, that's always a challenge. I realized like one of the cables I was using today, it wasn't the Zoom problem, but it was just a little bit intermittent and really sensitive. But that could have been anywhere, like in the whole system, from the microphone through the cable, through our new audio mixer, through the switcher, through OBS, through YouTube, through the headphone jack, like anywhere, So I mean, I think, I mean, I always think that people are good at video like you are. They just have sort of this intuition of how to think about it is a big part, and they don't really get set up on what is supposed to be, but they understand what the reality is. Like, how do you think about video and like troubleshooting? It's a big question, but like, how do you try to understand the schematic?
Yeah, I think, in the basic troubleshooting, a lot of it for me is just really that, pulling cables, trying to figure out, okay, which part is going wrong. And, at this point in my life, I think, have enough experience to be able to kind of look at something, see something weird happening, or hear something weird happening, and be able to say, okay, it's probably this. But, in the end, it often does, it does come down to just, pull that cable. Okay, that's not the problem. Pull the next cable. That's not the problem. Swapping out cameras, swapping out, memory cards, whatever. It's, that, I think that is kind of where you should start, with troubleshooting. Turn it all off, turn it back on again, and then check the cables. And, if that's not it, then there's probably a larger problem that, might have to send something in for repair.
Maybe, yeah. And to like one thing I'm thinking about right now is like the Zoom issue. I'm the consistent problem, and so I'm starting to wonder if it's like on my end, something with my laptop. Maybe I need to do an update, and just trying to figure that out. But I mean, I think it's interesting to talk about these things today because we've both been doing them, but we're not the only ones. Like, as an example, Edie on Monday started your online.
Oh yeah, my online school that I don't like much.
Yeah, her online school that she doesn't like too much. So I mean, like, but these are a lot of people who have very minimal or no video experience. Just this week, last week, I've been trying to figure this out from scratch. They don't need a system like these systems like we're setting up. But you know, what kind of advice might you have for somebody who's really new to this, but maybe through their job they have to start, doing teleconferencing or online lessons or anything? Like maybe they've just got a phone. Can you think of like some really basic ideas um, that you're maybe seeing people not really embracing that are very easy to
Yeah.
fix?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know if you can hear right now in the background is my water heater coming on. So, that is one thing to be aware of is where you are, what's going on in your setting. I thought I was smart. I turned off my furnace, but forgot that the water heater is right here beside me as well. So there are things that are going to make noises. Just kind of being aware of the situation. I have been really enjoying watching people putting out live streams. Musicians or comedians, whoever. Um, but one thing that I'm not. I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but I I see things and think, oh, they could be doing a little bit better. They could be stepping it up a little bit. Um, bring in some lighting, bring in, musicians especially generally have access to microphones, better sound equipment. Um, you know, if you just plug in a mic and set that as your audio input on your laptop, if you're live streaming from your laptop, there are some options available for phones as well. Um, Try to use a better microphone. I've got these battery powered lights that I really like to use. There are lots of options available. Um, Bring in some light, bring in better audio if you're able, and it's going to look and sound a lot better. And I believe, help you retain that audience that you're hoping to get. Um, Around me, I've got lots of lights going on. I've turned off the bad lights in my basement, and I've got a light there, a light there, a light above me, behind there, and it's looking different on my phone than I had expected it to on the camera that I was using. But I hope I look okay on your end.
You look fantastic. You have
Thank
a
you.
beautiful magenta glow on one side of you. Really looks great. And the other part too is some people aren't thinking about so much. And is your set decorating is fantastic. I see some an Ambra Wellman postcard edition there, and the LZX Santa. It looks really cool and suiting to what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so that's my desk. Usually, my back would be facing the camera while I'd be working on, on my laptop on some video stuff. But I have decided to, turn it around because that is the more interesting view than, if I turned around, you would be normally seeing the view into where my laundry is, and no one needs to see the big pile of laundry that I have been neglecting doing. Um, so yeah, just I believe it's being aware of what's going on, what you're, as you say, what you're putting in the frame, the background, trying to make yourself look and sound as good as you do, because most people do sound and look great.
That's true. Yeah, and one thing we're really this week I've really been thinking about this is like trying to break free of what the idea of what we're doing, because I always think about this idea. You think about video in different containers. So there's like films, there's television, there's like online things, there's art videos, there's installations, there's all sorts of things. And like I think the impetus is to think about what Edie and I are trying to do as like a show, but that's kind of ridiculous, like to think about it that way, because it's not television. We don't have a crew, we don't have the resources, and really we have 1,000 times more freedom than any show's been. So we don't have to set a certain length here, you know. So I'm kind of curious what you might prophesize might come out of all of this live streaming, as it looks like, this might be our situation for some time now. And I mean, I think it's totally great and fine that a lot of people haven't jumped into this, because we're kind of like a month at the most or less, like into this situation. And I think it's, our NVIDIA's executive director is on a big Zoom meeting today with a lot of like other artist-run centers, and some of them are kind of just declaring like we're not quite ready to like try to switch everything online. And I kind of think that's absolutely fine, because first of all, that's based on this false way of thinking that things online are like should be an exact replication of what's supposed to happen in real life, and also like people they're just trying to process everything and they don't know how to transform it that way. um, but there is a lot of stuff that's coming out, and I think it's cool if people want to do it, and with no expectations, that a million people are going to watch it. But I'm very curious how it might change the world. Like, whereas maybe a lot of this stuff will just linger, once kind of in real life activities go back to being possible. People might just be like, you know what, I'm not going to drive an hour away to have a meeting for 20 minutes. Like, we figured out this other way. But in a creative way, what kind of excites you about it, or what ideas are you having about it? Like, as people kind of dabble in this, maybe get a taste for it, and maybe want to pursue it as a thing anyways. Do you have any thoughts about that, Elia?
Yeah, and I think for me, a lot of it goes back to kind of what you're saying about there is, you know, you don't have a format for this. As you're doing right now, it's experimentation, it's learning, it's figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And I think that is, to me, kind of the joy of this. That, you know, right now, most people have a lot of time to experiment and figure out, a format that works for them, something that they want to, you use this technology, and that most of us do have just in our pocket. You can just use your cell phone and start a show. It's really simple and easy like that. So I it excites me that it's kind of this, what is it, like, democratization of of the technology, and people can just kind of do what they want. So I don't want to try to predict what it is that people are going to be doing, what people are going to be figuring out next. Um, I think we are going to be seeing a lot more people doing live streaming, a lot more people hopefully, using this time to figure out a new creative project, figure out kind of how they can use these tools. And yeah, I don't know what exactly it's going to be, but I'm really hopeful that people are going to realize and recognize the value of, you know, creating stuff, just, you know, using these creative tools that they've got available and accessible to them to get their voice out there. Yeah, I feel like I rambled a lot right there and wasn't very clear, but
I'm glad you
hopefully someone understood what I meant.
I'm glad you did, because I jumped out to handhold our fixed camera. We've never done this before, but we just thought we'd show you and our viewers at home kind of what we're working with, just to give people a rough idea of like what the technology we're using. I mean, obviously, a lot of people wouldn't have this much stuff. We just happen to work at a media art center where we have this. And like strangely, we've been working for about 2 years on acquiring some equipment that's great for live streaming, for live visuals, live streaming. So we actually have kind of the just going to show people at home. uh, we have this here. It's a Roland, what's it, V-1HD high definition video switcher. And this is kind of the brains of what we're using. Why don't you switch signals, Edie? And so look at, this is our preview monitor. Oh, we're feeding back. Why not, eh? Look at that. We're feeding back. So we can switch. There's my laptop. Whoa, did you see Elia swirl and smear out there? You'll see it, I guess, in 20 seconds. That's about the YouTube delay. That was gorgeous. Let's switch back. I didn't realize we were going to do it impromptu. Let's switch it back and see if you can. Oh my goodness, that is amazing.
Wait, why did that happen?
Because it's video feedbacking. We're really like messing with our circuit here. Using our switcher, the live cameras. There's Edie switching. Why don't we why don't you also show? We'll go back to Elia here. We switch it up. Okay, now let's try some effects on this. Oh wow! So we can do stuff like this as well. That's pretty great. Let's try this one. Oh, there he is as well. Um, there's a lot of capabilities of what can be done like this. Let's bring it back here. Let's take the effects off. So Edie's doing a lot of the switching here. Also, there's our keyboard. We're just lining that in to our brand new audio mixer we just got yesterday from our good friends down at Guelph Music, a wonderful local music store. And this is making it a lot easier because until today's the first show we're actually using it. And before it was hard to figure out all the audio feeds because they're all just playing from computers and a live camera. And so 2 days ago we had a lot of echo on what we were doing, and now it's all just in these faders. So I can probably even show you live. This is the one that says cam, but really it's our live shotgun mic right there. I'm gonna tap that mic. There we go. And so that's track number 1. And if I'm gonna just keep talking, but it should kill the sound. It's coming back up, and it's fading, and it's coming back up. And so this is, why don't you talk, Elia, to start counting?
Hey, 1, 2. I'm here talking into my phone, which is coming through on one of your channels.
And we were just fading you in and out there. Let's do something amazing. Let's crank up this effect. And why don't you just start counting again?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What effect are you doing to me?
I don't know. Number 81.
Effect number 81. I hope it's a good one.
95.
95. 95.
Doesn't that
What
sound
do I sound like?
It's some kind of large hall effect. But anyways, we can do that now, which is pretty exciting for Edie, I think, and for me. EQ it. We can control the gain. So, and then we have our laptop. There's Elia again. He's joining us via FaceTime, which I think looks better and sounds better than Zoom.
And
then this feeds out from the preview, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what are we seeing there, Edie, on this screen?
Well, that's the camera, the first one, and then the second one's your laptop.
Yeah.
And then if we switch it sometimes,
There. So there's Elia feeding back again. And right now, today we're actually using 2 channels. Normally, it's turned off right now. It's hard to see and it's dark.
But we have turn it on quickly.
It's okay. We have an iMac, and we use that to play YouTube videos and to queue up things and whatnot. And but today we didn't really need it. So that's kind of like our setup. And then
there's that, so we can see how many people are watching, and then how many likes we have, and then the comments, and then that's what people are seeing right now. It's behind because it's 26 seconds behind on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then that's what's happening right now. Not 26 seconds behind.
Yep, that's OBS, and we just kind of use that to run the signal through, and we watch the audio levels bouncing there. Make sure they're good.
And we can write comments right
And we can write comments in there. Do you want to?
Okay.
Here, and this is the keyboard over here. Wireless keyboard. So that's kind of our setup. We're just learning it this week, and overall our goal is just to make it to do one thing every day to make it a little bit better. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but after each show, we just work on something, make it a little bit bigger. It's hard to see. There's Elia's title card. Because we also have 2 lights. There's 1, 2 little LED lights in there.
And then I can write something.
And then you can interact. There, see? You can say hello to our viewers. So I mean, this is our setup for now. Maybe in a month it'll be a little different. Um, but we just want something. It's like Elia. It's sort of like that.
Hey, someone liked it and someone else watches now.
Yeah. So kind of the idea is, you want it to be flexible to do what you want, but also like you want it to be robust as well. It's like that balance. Do you have that kind of challenge, Elia? Like to kind of figure out, not to get too fancy, maybe.
Yeah, I really like what you said of adding one thing every day. One layer of complexity every day, I think makes sense. Start out small with maybe one camera, one source, and then next day add add more lights, add more audio cues, add whatever the kind of technology you might have available. I think it it's a really good approach because you can get something working well and then take it up the next level. I yeah I my usual approach is to just throw everything at it for myself, which I don't recommend for most people, because as we've seen today here, the I had this crazy setup, and the best solution was to just use my phone. So I think a lot of the time going simple is the best solution and a really good thing to do. You don't have to have, as you've got multiple computers, multiple cameras, multiple video sources to do something great. You can do it really simply with your phone, and that's really all you need. Um, I look at lots of people on TikTok. I don't understand TikTok. I'm too old for that. But I think it's really cool because there are lots of people making really incredible content just using their phone and doing something really simple but really effective, especially within that short time limit that you have to make a TikTok video. And as well, doing the same thing, with your phone with a live stream. It's, I think, a great way to just, go simple, do something really cool and effective. And again, as you're saying, add more layers of complexity as you go along and as you figure new things out.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of agree. Like, the technology I always it's alluring, but it's also um, it's only like a means to the end to get your content out there, I guess. And like, I guess our idea here, Edie and I were, sort of like artists have stories and they have content. So that was like the thing that like we based the setup on is like how can we cut to their work? How can we have some minimal control of like title cards? How can we interact with our viewers? And how can we get people to Skype or Zoom or FaceTime in? And that's it. Like we don't, little things we can add, and a lot of it comes through just like creative ideas as well. There's this, it's like, how do we do backdrops? I'm like, well, maybe the easiest way is to just live draw them and live project them, and so maybe that's a lot less things in the schematic than like trying to key in things or make it complex, or that can come later. Well, anything else, Elia, that you want to talk about or say, or any advice you give to media artists if they're kind of stuck at home, or without maybe the amount of equipment they might be used to using?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, possibly a lot of the theme of this conversation has been be willing to keep it simple. Don't think that you need all the technology to that's available to do something great. We're lucky at video. We've got the video mixer, the capture box, many computers, all sorts of fun tools and toys. But as you just said, using the hand-drawn, handmade title cards is really effective, and it looks great. It's endearing. It's cute. It's fun. So yeah, just because you don't have the technology doesn't mean you can't make something incredible. So I'd say just pull out your phone, start shooting. You have a whole video production studio in your pocket usually, so go for it. Just dive in.
I think that's good advice even for the best of times, is to
Yeah.
not wait for things to be perfect, because they never potentially never really will be perfect, and that's why we decided just to start this show, even though we weren't really confident that it was going to work each day, and we're committing to it. Yeah, so I mean, thanks very much, Elia, for taking the time to join us from your basement video studio. Really looking forward to seeing how your setup evolves, and also good luck with that. And maybe once you have something ready to go, and you're feeling confident, maybe come back on the show and we'll talk about it again. Maybe you can do a video synthesis set, or anything. We got time. We got this equipment. And we have YouTube's server space to fill up, and if people like it, that's fantastic. If they're not into it, that's totally fine too. And yeah, so thanks very much, Elia. We'll talk again soon, and thanks very much to our viewers today. We've had a few. Liz and Mark H says, "Hi, Scott and Edie. Thanks for opening up these channels of conversation and inspiring creativity in the community." Thanks, Mark H. I think I know who Mark H is, and if it's the Mark H I'm thinking of, thanks very much for that comment and for tuning in. We hope that you're doing well and your family's doing well and staying safe. Well, we're just going to keep trying to do what we can each day. Tomorrow, we have our special guest live from Mexico, Luis Rodriguez, a friend of mine, a curator, a community organizer. Really excited to talk to him about some of his projects and the things that he's been doing in Mexico. So we're just going to play it out. Thanks again to Edie. Thanks again to our funders, the OEC, and the Canada Council for the Arts, and the City of Guelph, and all of our other funders. Best wishes to all of our artists in our membership and people we are going to work with this year. We're still going to do what we can to feature your work, get it out there until some relative amount of normalcy returns. Remember, Tuesday is Pet Show and Tell Day, so any artists of any type, young and old, if you have a pet and you want to Skype in, or you want to FaceTime or Zoom in, please, we'd love to meet your pets and hear all about them. So I think that's it. Thanks, everyone. I'm just gonna cut back to this video of Elia, all pixelated, while Edie plays us out with her keyboard. One sec. Let's get it going. Ooh.